Good afternoon. It is May 29th. It's a little after 1 o'clock Mountain Time. And I'm really excited to be here. I've been doing these readings for a long time. And since I published my book last June, I have been feeling exhausted, absolutely exhausted. Almost like needing to take maternity leave after having a baby. So something shifted this week for me, and I'm not going to get into all the details. It had a lot to do with a lot of different things, but maybe you've experienced that where you've been in a place and you just can't seem to move out of it. And we need to really take a look at the energies around us that are keeping us in that space. Sometimes it's necessary, and I do believe part of what was going on with me was necessary. I needed to regroup. I needed to declutter my mind and my life. I needed to find a better balance in everything. And the one thing that I held really close to my heart during all of this, because I'm a doer, so sitting around and learning to do nothing is a little difficult for me. But in reading cards, and especially the Osho Zen Tarot cards, which I've read for you before, and I love the deck because they tell us so much about life, is there's one card that says, "This too shall pass." And you've probably heard of it before. And to me, I really hung on to that information because I knew I was not going to be doing nothing forever. I knew that that too was going to pass. And when things get really, really busy, I also hang on to the knowledge that this too shall pass. So if you're in a kind of a funky place and you don't know what to do, I do personal angel card readings. You can get a hold of me and I can do a one question answer. It's about 15 minutes and let you know what you can do. I also do house clearings for anyone who's living in the area, and although I do house clearings farther away, they definitely are more helpful, I suppose, when you are clearing the house and it's in front of you. And a lot of that has been coming up lately, and I think it has something to do with a shift in energy on our earth. Something has happened, and more people are noticing what is in their homes, or the things that are in their homes are making people notice them more. So if you're having any problems energetically, by all means, I'm the gal to help you out, even if it's a question to find out what you should do, who you should call, or anything even on that level. I'm always here and happy to help. I think you can feel even my energy just feels so much lighter. I'm just so excited. I changed the colors in my room from browns and orange and yellows to purple. So everything's purple in my office now. Not my walls yet, but I don't think I'll go purple on the walls, but I might paint them. So today it's a little different. I'm using a card I don't think I've ever used before, or a deck. It's the Rider Tarot deck. And if you ever take a tarot card reading class, this is usually the deck they have you start with. This isn't the deck I started with. I started with a different deck. But these are really nice cards. And so if you're unfamiliar with tarot cards, or you're nervous about tarot cards, because that was definitely my case for a long time, they kind of scared me because the things that they said made me nervous. I didn't totally understand what they were trying to get across to me, especially when you read the little book. And as you know, I don't typically read the book. I usually read the card energetically. I feel what it has to tell me, because you can pull the same card multiple times and you can get a different reading from it. The basis of it might be the same. We have wands, cups, swords, and pentacles, and we also have the higher arcana cards. They all have a different meaning or energy behind them. But if you were to pick the same card for two different people, it might not mean the same thing to both of them, because we are all living independent, different lives. And our perspectives are always different as well. And I read about that in my book, and I've had many people who are in my book contact me and say, well, that's not really what happened, Tracy. Well, it was what happened to me. You might have been there. You might have had a different experience than me, but that's the experience that I took away from the situation. So I'm not going to read any of these upside down today. I'm going to read all of them right side up because I'm reading them energetically. I'm not looking at the book, I don't think. So I picked 3. And it is interesting because they all are a little different. We have 7 of Swords to start with. And there you go. There's the 7 of Swords, Roman numerals. And swords typically have to do with our conflicts, challenges, things that we have to deal with on an earthly level as well on a spiritual level. And remember, this reading is for June 2014. So for me, this is doing too much. See how he's carrying as much as he can and he's looking back. He can't carry the other 2 and he's not sure what to do. He wants to do all of it, but he can't do all of it. So challenges in life sometimes lead us to that place where we want to get it all done. And that's definitely been the case for me for the last 11 months that I've kind of been on maternity leave, wanting to do more, but feeling and going with my internal and external energy and knowing that I'm not supposed to be doing everything yet, that I just needed to rest because this too is going to pass. And when it does, typically you get thrown into something that really does need your energy. And so many of us get to a place where we overextend ourselves in the down periods of our life. So when we get to that place where we need that energy, we're tapped out already. We haven't taken stock of what we should have been saving. And this is when we start getting ill. And you see it quite often. People push themselves through to get things done. And what we really need to do is really pay attention to where we are in our life, where we are in our body, and make a decision that doing nothing is doing something. And sometimes it's the hardest thing to do, is just sit there and contemplate nothingness, be in that meditated state. Or for me, it's been reconnecting with friends that I didn't get to see very often during that very busy, hectic period of my life. And so if you're struggling with things right now and you're trying to do more than you should, know that you can leave something behind. You don't have to do it all. And how do you make that decision? Well, sometimes we don't always make the right decision what we need to do and what we don't need to do, and that's part of the learning. We are all here to learn something. And even if it doesn't seem like it's the right something, it's still something. We're still learning something. So remember that when you start giving yourself a hard time because you screwed up or you couldn't believe you did that, you can't believe you said that, take stock of that. Don't kick yourself in the ass. Give yourself a sore back. Just realize that, okay, I learned something. I'm probably not going to do that again. And that's really what life is about, is when you can learn from things going on in your own life and you can let it go without hanging on to it or worrying about it or being frustrated about it, being angry about it, or any of those other emotions that are attached to giving ourselves a hard time. Okay, let it go. Let it go. Feel it light, let it go. Sometimes we need to get to that point where we can offer forgiveness. And that can shift that energy around, and you do. It feels like a spring letting loose or an elastic band letting go, and it goes out there and you just feel almost like a cleansing breath of fresh air coming into your body on the release of letting the worry, frustration of whatever your situation is go. So the next card is Higher Arcana. It's the 9. It's called the Hermit. And I laugh at this because any of you who've read my book will be familiar with the Hermit card because I mention it quite often in there. at the beginning of my book. It had a lot to do with my meeting my husband. It was the card that was picked when I went to a reading and I was told my hermit was on his way. So this card for the hermit is him in a very quiet place of solitude, but he's looking out and he sees all that's happening. He's got the light and he's allowing it to illuminate different situations going on around him. He doesn't have to be a part of those situations. He can just stand on the edge of it and look out and see what's going on. And very often we need to do this in our lives. We need to stand back and pay attention to what's going on instead of always jumping in and trying to fix things or correct things or make things better. Sometimes it's not for us to fix or organize or make things better. Sometimes it's just for us to offer our support, be an observer at times of what's going on. So I have still a girlfriend from high school. So we have our 30-year grad reunion here in July. I'm excited. I'm hoping I'll get to see her again. And so when I met her when I was 16, it was interesting because she was one of those girls who actually sat back and she paid attention to everything. And it was almost like she was surveying what she should do. She was new, so should she be friends with what group of people? Who should she hang out with? She very much contemplated everything before she moved in to that situation. And it really made me think because I never sat back and contemplated anything. I've always been a jumper inner. So over time, I think a lot about her and that knowledge she allowed me to observe in her to realize we don't always have to be a part of everything. Sometimes we can just sit back and observe. And sometimes that support is even better than taking an active part. So I have mentioned that my daughter sustained first and second degree burns January of 2013, sorry. And at that time, I really was surprised because I became an observer of her situation. I was there to support her at the hospital, but I didn't berate her for what had happened. I didn't counsel her unless she needed it from me because I realized the bigger lesson was for her to figure out why it had happened because everything happens for a reason. And sure enough, without all my input and probably my conditioning on her thought process, she was able to come to a better solution in her life as to why that had happened. And she's been able to resolve issues around that situation and the whole circumstance behind it. And for that, I am super proud of her, but she couldn't have done it if I hadn't have stepped back and allowed her, again, the space and the energetic space to accomplish that in her own life. And it's hard. It is hard because we want to protect them. We want to save them. We want to help them. But in doing so, you get to a place where we realize we need to let some things go. And not everything is for us to do. So the last card is the Eight of Wands. Yeah, they're calling them wands. Sometimes they're called staffs. And wands have more to do with movement, growth, new beginnings, also careers. You see there's like new growth on the wands themselves. So, the Eight of Wands. So some of these wands don't look nearly as healthy as some of the other wands. Some of them have larger pieces growing out of them, some not so much. So allow yourself to grow and expand as necessary. Again, it comes back to not judging ourselves, not giving ourselves a hard time, that we're not doing more than we should. Typically, as a population on this earth, we are all about that. We're all about trying to do 200% instead of sticking to 100 or 75%. And if you're having really a day that's not working out well, should you even be working at 100%? I mean, sometimes that 100% might look like 50% to other people, but maybe that 50% is your 100% for that day. So not a whole lot to say about these wands, except as you start new things and other things come to an end, make sure that you're consciously allowing the energy to flow in and around you. Allow life to take that path. And when we try to step back and see everything as an observer, the great thing I love about it is we end up in the right place at the right time, because we have no attachment to an outcome when you're an observer. You're just paying attention. So you do everything that you need to do without the expectations attached around it. And I know, how does that work with manifesting when we're supposed to have expectations attached to things? Well, you'll have the larger expectations. I want 1 million people to buy my book. That might be my larger expectation. But I don't know what's going to get me from here to there. So when I'm an observer and I'm walking in the flow of energy, I'm letting some things go and I'm taking other things along for the ride. I'm starting some things that are simple and I'm letting go of other things that I seem to be struggling with. And all those steps will take me to my end result, whatever that end result might be for you. And so just step back and take stock of what you're doing. And I hope you have a fabulous month. I mean, it's June here in Canada. Things are finally blooming. We have green on the trees and flowers in the garden. And so everything's very, very exciting. And I will see you July 1st. Have a great month.